this a surprise.
Just how long do you think this peace is going to last?
As long as it can. What about the others?
What others?
The ones that want out.
Obviously, they will be freed.
I have your word.
What do you think I am? Human?
The Matrix Online is a continuation of the Matrix stories. When the third movie comes to an end, the Matrix Online literally picks it up from that moment on and goes forward with it.
Through the course of the game, you will have story unfold before you. It's not just a depiction of the Matrix as it was in the films, it's the continuing story of what happens in the Matrix.
So that players can see it's fully open-ended. They don't know where the story goes at all.
We now, as players, can participate in the overall story and help to propel it forward.
Action!
The plan for The Matrix was always to tell a story in multiple mediums. That was the Wachowski brothers, their first thought when we decided to continue the story after the first Matrix.
Larry and Andy are overseeing and contributing to that continuing storyline.
They wanted to be able to take their movies and instead of having a conclusion that was sealed forever, to have a world that the fans could all come to, that they could actually become a part of the Matrix story that they had already enjoyed.
They already had a vision for their, universe to be depicted inside the computer space, and they had very specific concerns that it needed to live up to a particular standard that they had set.
I'm mainly known for my comic book work, especially my character Concrete. After I'd done 3 comic strips for the Matrix website, they gave me a call. It was actually a little mysterious at first. I didn't even know what the project was, except it involved writing. But it turned out, no, it was this fairly new genre of massive multiplayer online games.
A massively multiplayer game is a simulation where thousands of people participate in a shared experience and they all connect to the same server.
Once they create the world and the people, then the players themselves have to really create the story and follow through on the idea. But the boys helped create the world and placed it in that world, and now the players can take it from there.
It's more like a stage that's being built through which, many stories can be told. By giving Paul and the Wachowski brothers maximum flexibility, we're trying to create a situation where players can experience that story in a way that's different from, a typical movie or book or even a single-player game experience.
So when you start the game, you're still one of the people in the farms who's just come to the realization that the entire Matrix is in fact a simulation.
You're going to be presented with the option of taking the blue pill or the red pill, which of course you've taken the red.
The humans are still just as passionate and they hate the machine civilization just as much, but also know that there's only a truce that's keeping them alive.
This will feel a little weird.
You then start to define your residual self-image. You're selecting your clothes, your hair, what you look like. Are you male? Are you female? What your skills are. You can be a spy. You can be a hacker. Or you can be the equivalent of a fighter, a soldier.
And then you become a new operative inside the Matrix. And immediately these forces, the machines, the humans, the various exiles will begin approaching you and trying to hire you to win over your allegiance to their cause.
It's a very complicated clash. It's not just humans versus machines. And as a player, you'll have to make your choices of whom you ally yourself with. We'll see characters from the film. They'll be in the game with you.
They're still running their agendas. They're still trying to accomplish their goals as depicted in the films. They may even try to recruit you to work for them. You may be recruited by somebody else who wants you to specifically stop what they are doing.
You'll have to really work to meet them in person. And if you are a good enough player, you'll be able to talk with them.
You'll have to prove yourself worthy. To meet one of these characters from the film will be a monumental task, something that people will be able to brag about.
We have constructed Mega City.
The environment, it's a vast city where you can wander the streets, you can open doors, you can go through every floor of every building. And there's a lot to find there, and a lot of people who may want to kill you.
The megacity's infinite. It spreads out in all directions. We've tried to capture segments of the megacity. There is the slums environment in the international district, and then downtown and industrial districts.
In terms of just raw square footage of game space to explore, there currently is no equal, and I don't think there will be one for a while. A city is a very organic and dynamic place, and if you're going to capture Mega City as depicted in The Matrix, you're going to need to provide a rich level of detail, ranging from characters and items and things down to cockroaches and pigeons and trash on the ground.
We have custom-built tools that we have constructed in order to vary a particular landscape so that it doesn't look the same anymore.
You suddenly will have this sense that you're really in a living and expanding environment.
In a city environment, it's only natural that people start to congregate. If people are moving to different areas inside the game in mass droves, we really had to make sure that our architecture was such that it could handle 100 people rushing to one building for whatever reasons.
Our challenge was to go and design a system that would allow tens of thousands of users to play simultaneously in a game world, so that we would have the option of running up very much larger numbers of people than typically exist on a single MMO server system.
We wanted to not only have an enormous world that you could move seamlessly from one area of the city to another, but to move seamlessly from indoor to outdoor, to be able to run up a flight of stairs, take an elevator, come out onto a rooftop, and see the area that you just left seamlessly without load zones.
This is a brand new server in order to be able to deal with latency issues. At the same time, the user doesn't get a feeling of lag when they're under high lag conditions.
That was a big design goal, to make sure that our hardware could handle those types of things.
We have a team whose sole job after the Matrix ships is to continuously add more content to the game. It's just never gonna stop.
There are events that will happen each month, and we'll be telling the story both in short movies, in gameplay where the characters are wandering around the world on specific missions that they're sent on that can send them to certain parts of our story.
And there is a story that evolves, but it's created by the people that play the game. So it's much more of a kind of a free-flowing interaction.
I think probably the most obvious thing that you'll see that's better is the combat itself.
As we know from The Matrix, there is a heavy emphasis on the martial arts in terms of combat inside The Matrix.
You can do kung fu, karate moves, you can do wire fu, you can jump from building to building.
We've got combat where you can have one-on-one, one-on-three, four-on-one.
We really do capture that intense, visceral feel of you punch someone in the throat and you're punching them in the throat.
And as you become more and more powerful, you will learn more and more special moves, literally dropping into bullet time and and people around you seeing you do that slow motion move.
And we just wanted to take those superpowers that you see in the movies and make it possible for you to actually do them in an online game.
The Matrix Online represents a first step into tactile combat inside of a massively multiplayer game.
You can do things that no one's ever seen before in an online game, so it sets it apart. It gives us a chance to completely break the genre and turn something new out.
I think everybody's conscious of the fact that in making a massive multiplayer game of The Matrix, we're creating the monster that our heroes tried to slay in the movies.
Yes, you're sitting home at your computer, but you're still interacting in a space that is someplace else, and you're interacting with other people, and I think it kind of really works very well with the idea of the movie.
Some people are just going to want to dress up, go to clubs, hang out, and talk inside The Matrix. Others will literally want to invest time in mapping out one of the largest game spaces ever created in an online environment.
When you talk about movies and groundbreaking, it's hard to say that without thinking about The Matrix. And when you talk about massively multiplayer online games, it should be hard to say that without thinking about The Matrix Online.